Welcome back, guys. It's a little bit of a dreary, rainy day today. Figure it's a good day to finally open up this box. We had a power outage. When you forget to turn the air compressor off after using it. Sorry about that. Anyways, we had a power outage a couple weeks back. We went 2-3 days without power. It was kind of a pain in the butt. If you're like me, you've been spending years saying, yeah, I'm going to get a good generator. I'm going to get one, but right now I don't really need it. I got a little bitty one that'll get me by. Just run my freezer. Yeah, I didn't run my freezer. It died after 2 hours. So, guess what I did? I learned. I went and bought that generator. I was like, I'm not getting stuck like this again. So, today, we're going to do an unboxing. I'm going to call it an unboxing because I'm not going to really be able to do a good review. I think a good review needs to hook up and really draw from the power for a few hours and whatnot. I'm not going to do all that, and I don't really have anything. I mean, I could hook up to some appliances or whatever, but I'm sure there's videos out there where guys have been using these for years. So anyways, what do we got? Firman with an I, not a U. Firman T07573. This is a tri-fuel, so it's got natural gas, it's got propane, or gasoline that you can run this thing on. First little tip I want to say before I even open this up. By the way, I haven't read any instructions. I'm just going to kind of open it, see how easy it is, see if there's anything to put together, any assembly required. See how much it takes for just a lay guy like me, just some dummy, to get it fired up and running out of the box. First thing I want to say is I think that you can get these from Lowe's for around $1,000. Then I went on Costco's website. It was saying $7.99, $800. I'm like, okay, cool, a couple hundred less. Then I called Costco, and I thought the guy was just a dummy at first and didn't know what he was talking about. Not like he works there. If you follow me, you know I got a history of just not thinking people that work at places, such as paint stores, know what they're talking about. Reference my camper if you have no idea what I'm talking about there. Anyways, so this guy tells me, oh yeah, we got them in store for $6.99. We got them for $700. And I'm like, really? Blah, blah, blah. Well, it says this on the website. And he's like, no, you just got, it's a different price because of the shipping and whatnot. They factor all that in. Just come over here to the store, and we got like 50 of them. More than enough for you. And there you go. So I did, and I did. And here we are. I got myself a Firman. If you're looking into this, you probably know by now, because I'm probably not the first video you've checked out. There is a difference in the surge power and the running power of these things. For instance, your freezer, you plug in your freezer, or you plug in a air compressor or whatever, and there's a big burst of energy as it gets fired up and running and turns over, etc., versus when it's just going and running. So this does best on gasoline. It's a starting wattage of 9,400. That's pretty high. That's pretty good. That's partly why I wanted this one, because I was looking at the 5,000 range. You just run a couple of home appliances. But I was like, no, get myself something that's got more versatility. And for the price, I was like, dang, that's a pretty good price. So anyways, 9,400 starting watts, gasoline. 7,500 running watts. That's really good. That could run most of the stuff in my house. And it drops down a little bit when we go with liquid propane gas. That's 8,450 for starting, 6,750 for running. And then the least is natural gas, which I like that this has that option, because your house, if you've got a gas stove or gas oven, gas dryer in your house, then you got natural gas running into your house. So you could get a nice little switch over, probably a hose. I'm not a plumber, get a licensed guy to do that does gas stuff. But you probably get a nice little thing where you could plug that guy in to where your house is already at, run it off of what comes in through your home, because your power might be out, but your natural gas should be fine. And that runs at 6,900, or surge, starting power 6,900. Running power 5,500. So 3 options. I love that. Another thing that's important to me, that CO alert. So if I'm a dummy and I unplug, if I take this thing out and I start it up right here in my garage, and it's carbon monoxide. It's an engine, it's a motor. If I just sit there and let it run and run, which my door is open, we get a little too much carbon monoxide going on in here. Which, by the way, I do have a carbon monoxide detector, but it's going to kick itself off. It's going to alarm, it's going to stop. So I really like that. I'm not getting old or anything. It's got a nice little thing on here that says 50 amps. So I guess you can plug it into a 50 amp, plug in a 50 amp service, like if you got your RV or whatever. that is one thing I kind of would like to do. I got a 30 amp plug for my RV. I would like to plug it into that and, you know, run my whole RV. So hey, maybe that's what I would do. If I ran out of power, if my power went out, maybe I'd go live in the camper for a couple days and just plug it into this. It's like Christmas morning around here. While it's nice having this nice clean box and it's tight and you can set things on top of it. Ooh, we got a cover. That's cool. There's some instructions. I kind of don't want to look at those. Dry packet, yay. I'm going to cover it up to keep it nice and clean. I don't want to tear up this beautiful box. Ugh. Ugh. Doesn't it look so shiny and new? Doesn't have wheels on it yet though. That must be one of the things I got to install. So I like that this handle, that's simple. It's just one hinge down, so it's out of your way, but it's not like you ain't got to lock anything in or anything like that, because that bar holds it in place. About as easy as it gets, about as plain and straightforward. You don't need to overcomplicate it, right? Right. Here's the information for you guys. We got a couple of very heavy duty wheels there. They're rubber, but they got some like tread to them. So I feel like those are gonna work nicely, even going through the yard. But they're not gonna pop or anything. They're, you know, as this thing sits here for years or however long, it's not gonna go. They're not gonna go low. So that's great. 1030 motor oil. That's good. This is a good one. Regulator, propane line. So I would guess we have everything we need to run it. Straight off propane, just need the propane itself. I'm guessing these are pins for the wheels. That's going to be, if that's the case, cotter pin. I mean, that's going to be about as easy as possible to install. Whatever you want to call it. The other side, because our wheels are only going to be on one side. So I think this is a piece, it looks like it tapes on, that's just to hold our cord. Don't really know yet. We'll get to that and figure it out. That I think is a 50 amp plug-in. Got 4 outlets on it. Breakers or whatever you want to call them. Surge protectors, you know. So I like that. Funnel for the oil. Owner's manual, and it looks like a couple pieces of hardware. And look at that. We even have some wrenches. We have the tools we need right here. So this thing comes, looks like it comes ready to go out of the box. Like you don't need to bring a single thing but yourself and something to open it up. Something sharp to cut it open. So let's go ahead and look at our quick start guide. Just so we can figure it out. The wheels. You know what? I'm not supposed to do that, but that's what I'm doing. So, there's our, whatever you want to call it, our pin washer. Slide it through. Another washer on this side, and then your little bitty cotter pin. So I just want to show you that went right through there. Like I said, washer on either side, cotter pin. Doesn't get much easier than that for the wheels. Next, we'll have to put this guy on. We're actually going to have to use these wrenches to get those bolts on there. Guess I could also share with you in case you want to use your own sockets and have them ready to go. This has got a 10 and a 12. Those went on with the 12 millimeter. So, there. So next I'm just going to check our battery cable. That's not connected right there. pretty easy to see. Cut that band. So I'm going to carefully cut that band, and I'm sure that's a measure, you know, for safety. Make sure it doesn't drain the battery as well, all that good stuff. That's snapped in. That was easy. And we got some outlets here. 50 amp, 120 volt, 122 40 volt, 30 amp. That's nice. So we got a 50 and a 30. And this guy, yeah, I think this is the 50. Nope, that's not a 50. It's a 30. So we have this 30 amp breaker here. So we, you know, we can run 4 outlets right here off of this one, so that's pretty cool. Here's another 30 amp. We have 2 30 amps. I didn't realize that. So we only have 2, you know, 20 amp, 120 volt GFIs on here, which is probably why we have this, because you could be running 1 here. So you could, I believe, run 6 at once. So that's cool. Here's the oil fill cap. There we go. We need to do that, don't we? I'm not condoning doing any of this without reading the owner's manual, because they always tell you to read the owner's manual, and if I'm doing something wrong, I wouldn't even know it right now, would I? So keep your eye on that. Alright, so I took a couple minutes while my camera battery cooled down to kind of explore everything. I think I got a pretty good understanding of this. I'll show you all the features in a minute. This is 10W30, so this is, you know, this is not 2 cycle or 3 cycle or whatever. This is just oil. It says it won't start, or it'll shut itself off if it's low on lubricant. That's obnoxious. I got 90% of this bottle in there, and our reservoir is full. I wonder if once we cycle this thing and it pumps some through, if it'll go down a little bit or not. It probably says in the owner's manual that I didn't read. But for all of you judging me, I bet 8 out of 10 of you don't read it also. There's 2 of you guys that do, so hats off to you. Alright, now let's go ahead and get some gasoline in this. I'm not going to put much because I do want to get this thing ready for long-term storage, which means I'm going to have to try to get rid of as much gas in as possible. But let's get enough in here to get this thing going for a few. I should have used a funnel, but I did not. And I say let's not put much, and I put like 1.5 gallons in there. Alright guys, let's run through a couple of these features, and then we're going to take this thing outside and run it. So, see my gasoline I poured all over the top. That's great. It does have a fuel gauge. I don't know if it works or not. I didn't see it move at all, but I mean, it is an 8-gallon tank, so I mean, maybe I didn't put enough in there to make it move. We'll see. What else? We have this whole booklet taped on here, starting, or not taped, but secured to this. Starting instructions for with the electric start and the pull start, which calls it like recoil start, but for fuel, gas, liquid propane, all of them. So that's great for everything. All right, so we had that piece earlier that I was talking about. I secured it on, it just hung over there, and then I just opened those 3M tape pieces. Holds our cord on here, which is great. We have a piece of Velcro for the gas line. Natural gas, liquid propane, for whichever one you'll be using. That's one of the things to check out when you're getting ready to run it that way. I will be using liquid propane 9 out of 10 times, probably 10 out of 10. Pull start, obviously. I'm guessing fuses and whatnot in here, but you don't need those for everyday use. Choke, start, run. Very simple, very straightforward. Hook up for line for the gas. We'll do that in a minute because we will run it that way. Either gas, so we've already got it on liquid propane over here on the side. So it's only 2 switches here. Liquid propane, gasoline. This is how to turn it off. So there's that. On button for starting it. Breakers. Your outlets we went through. On, off. You could turn the power off to the outlets, of course. And then, of course, we got our oil. We've got our battery. That's for the electric start. So pretty straightforward. When you're going to start it, let's say we're going to go to gas. You're going to turn it to start on the choke over there. either one, gas or propane or liquid nitric, liquid gas, whatever. You switch it to whichever fuel source you're using. So like when we do it first, we'll go with gas, and then you push the button on. It's that simple. To turn it off, you flip it to off. I was surprised when it came to the fuel sources. It says to turn it off and then turn off your gas source. So your propane tank, you know, close that valve or whatever. It does say for long-term storage to run it, you know, empty like you would your grill. I always close my propane tank and keep my grill on until there's no fuel left in the line. So if you're using this regularly, it doesn't say to do that, but for long-term storage, it does say to do that. With the wheels and handle, this thing is not hard to move at all. Our choke is moved over to start. I want to start this with gasoline first. We have gas in the tank. Turned over to gasoline. Push the button, it should start up. This is the very first time I've started it, so we're on start on the choke. We're on gasoline. All right, well, this is interesting. Turn it to off. What am I missing? All right, guys, this is kind of interesting. We're gonna turn the propane on. Same thing, the choke is on here. We're gonna open this up. It's on liquid propane on the selector on this side. Try to run it with that. Maybe I just haven't put enough fuel in it. Maybe I needed more gasoline. I did turn this off. I don't know if that would affect things. Now let's go this direction. It says it's ready. Let's see if it starts up and runs that way. So for the gasoline, I looked down there. I thought I put a lot in. It's barely sitting in the bottom of this tank. So let's just go ahead and put more. Perhaps we just haven't used enough fuel to get this thing going. This will be the one, guys. It's gonna get her going. We're on gas. So let me step back here because that's awfully loud. It's purring like a kitten. Maybe that was because it's like brand new out of the box and I had to get fuel in the lines. I will say the initial was probably because I didn't put enough gasoline in it. I thought I did, but when I looked at that tank, there was barely any sitting in the bottom. Maybe that's a nothing, but it took me about 10 minutes to get this thing running. That kind of had me concerned. But now you can see it's purring like a kitten. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna just hook up my circular saw and just, you know, just run it a couple times. Just put a little load on it. And then we'll turn it off and we'll switch to propane. Maybe we need the same from the propane. Maybe we need to get that system cycling. We'll give it a go. Let's see what happens. I'd like to see this propane working with this tank. It did feel kind of light. I don't think it's out, but I don't know. It does say to use the choke or the start. They called it a choke, but then it also says start. So flip that guy over. Get that all the way down. Let's go ahead and get this started. Red light's on. We're not having as much luck so far. We almost had it there. Okay, maybe it's a tank issue. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna unplug this. I'm gonna hook it up with the camper like we said. I'll be right back, guys. All right, I'm ready to start and try this up again. We are on liquid propane for the selector on the other side. Hooked up. This is as far as this cord goes. Exhaust is pointed outward away from my camper. The exhaust is on that side. If I were to use this, I'd absolutely make sure to have a carbon monoxide detector in the camper, as well as the shut off that's the CO alert that's on this thing. All right, so we're on start. We have propane opened up all the way. I hope it works, because that's part of why I bought this one, was to have multiple fuel sources. Switched it over to liquid propane or natural gas. Like I said, the other side is switched. Red light's on. Red light's on. I do not know why it's not starting with liquid propane. This is getting aggravating though. I've read, let me read these one more time, but it was this straightforward and simple to start it. So let me read it again. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so those instructions, I read them like 4 times. They absolutely do say to turn it to start it, and then run. You saw how quickly it came on just now? I flipped that choke over to run. Maybe like even with the propane you can flood it, I don't know. I was about ready to take this thing back to Costco and be like, you know what, give me my money back. It was gonna be a really bad unboxing. But I don't know what the deal was, but now it's running and it's purring again. So part of my intentions were to hook the camper up and be able to plug it in and run this generator. And what I was going to do for you now was I was going to run the air conditioner on, you know, because that draws a good little bit of power. That outlet doesn't really fit. That's a different kind of plug than that port is. These 30 amp ports are more, I guess, for like washer dryers, I think. But I bet you they make adapters. I'll have to look into that. Other than that, though, it ran. Everything pretty easy to set up. I've spent more time talking to you guys and going through this. It did take a long time to get started. Hopefully that's just because it's brand new. Let's see what happens right now. It was just running on the propane, and that propane was really hard to get going at first. Turn this guy on. Open. Let's just see. it said if you're going to run gasoline to make sure that the propane's closed. So I'm turning that off. I'll switch to gasoline, see if it goes back over to that pretty quick. All right, there you have it. I had some questions for a couple of minutes, but we got through it, and I think I'm gonna like it. Can't tell you long term. Haven't really tried pushing the generator, but I mean, it says it's got a pretty good high output. So like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.